do start our show, though, with breaking news with our senior insider, Shams Charania, who has more out of Milwaukee. Shams, what more can you tell us about Giannis?
Malika, sources tell me that Giannis Antetokounmpo is expected to return tonight at home against the Boston Celtics after missing over 5 weeks with the right calf strain, the second right calf strain he had in over a 1 month span, and the fourth calf strain he's had in just under 2 years. But Giannis was adamant about coming back, returning to the lineup for the Bucks and trying to get this team as many wins as possible. And internally, my understanding is John Horst, the general manager, and Doc Rivers, the head coach, have been steadfast that they believe this team can contend in the East if they can get into the playoffs. They're 26-33, 3 games behind the 10th seed right now out of the play-in slot. They've got the Celtics tonight, a critical game against the Hawks, who are directly ahead of them on Wednesday. This is a franchise right now that is full steam ahead in trying to get into the play-in spot.
Yeah, we got to get into the play-in spot before we talk about making noise in the Eastern Conference. Shams, going up against the Boston Celtics, as you mentioned, do we have any idea of if Giannis is going to be limited, minutes restriction, anything that we should be looking for towards tonight and moving forward?
Given the first time that he had this same injury earlier in the year, there was a minutes restriction. There was they paid close attention to that, and the fact that it's his fourth in just under 2 years, the Bucks will be careful with it. But Giannis has been of the mindset that he wants to do everything he can to try to will this team into the play-in.
Yeah, Giannis told me at the All-Star break, I'm healthy, I'm ready to go. I just need to get a couple reps under his belt. It was delayed a little bit more than that, but now Giannis on his way back. Shams, thank you so very much for that insight. As Shams mentioned, the Bucks, they go into play tonight. They're 3 games back of the Hornets. Hey, Hornets, for the final spot in the play-in in the East. They're 2 out in the loss column from both 9 and 10 here. I'm joined by our senior writers, Brian Windhorst, Tim MacMahon, and Ramona Shelburne here. All right, Brian, I'm going to start with you. We hear that the Bucks are saying that they think they can make some noise, but let's just start with what they need to do over the next few weeks. What are you looking for from Milwaukee?
Well, they've gone 8-7 the 15 games that Giannis missed. They were in 11th place when he got hurt. They're still in 11th place. So by winning those games in that stretch, they've given themselves a chance to get in the play-in. Really, their goal would need to be to get to 7 or 8, so you avoid having to win 2 play-in games. But look, like in a league where so many teams are tanking, you have to respect when a team's trying to win. Unfortunately for them, the teams in front of them are all doing that. There's no tanking teams in front of them.
We made it 3 minutes before we said the T word.
The one team tanking team in front of them was the Bulls, and they dropped it down. But I will say that the thing about when you look at the Bucks, their hope is to improve their team. You know, they've got it right now. If the lottery was tonight, they would have a 3% chance to get the number 1 pick and a 13% chance to get in the top 3. That is better than the Mavericks had last year when they won the Cooper Flag lottery. So, like, maybe they feel like their chances wouldn't have increased. I don't see how they material improve their team by not trying to get a higher draft pick. But again, I respect a team that's trying to win, so go do it. I'm not sure to what end, but this is what Giannis wants. This is what they're going to do.
This is what Giannis wants, and he's determined to play. I mean, he said it to you. He said, I think I'm 100%, and I think he would love nothing more tthan to get into that play-in tournament. We can all talk about the odds and whether they should be trying to win or not. It's better if they get a better draft pick, but that upsets the basketball gods. And I think when you're trying to convince, by the way, they are still trying to convince him to stay. I know we've talked about a trade the whole time, but because they didn't trade him, there is an opportunity, and I know they've discussed this in Milwaukee, to try to improve the team in the offseason so that Giannis feels more comfortable staying. And then we get to October when they can put a max contract in front of him and dare him not to sign it.
And what's the most valuable asset that the Bucks would have to improve the team in the offseason? It would be a lottery pick. And I hate to be hypocritical because we have been very critical of the tanking epidemic, right? There's a tanking epidemic because that's the smartest strategy. This is not in the Bucks' best long-term interest. We're not going to pretend that the Bucks have a chance in hell of doing anything in the Eastern Conference playoffs this year. They can pretend that in Milwaukee. No, stop it. Stop it. No, the Bucks do not have any chance of doing anything. They're not going to win. They're not going to win a single playoff game. I will say that right now.
Yesterday's game, I would agree with you. But they were 6-4 at Brian's.
The season.
Well, when Giannis comes back, let's not forget, he's averaging 28 points in 29 minutes.
That could be a rallying call, Malika. We could play that video clip in a couple of months. I don't know.
All right, it's time to go coast to coast. Catch you up on a lot of action from around the NBA this weekend. Some good games, too. Let's start with vroom, vroom. Yeah, the motorcade rolled through Orlando. The Pistons reached 45 wins for the first time since 07-08. They snapped a 17-season streak without 45 or more wins. Tim, do you have hotels booked in Detroit?
I do have hotels booked in Detroit. They are, cancelable. But listen, man, when a team goes 4 of 30 from three-point range and wins by double figures,
Woo.
they're a rough and tumble bunch that is a real threat.
Well, don't cancel those yet because they're looking pretty good. Cleveland, this is for you. James Harden, he scored 22 points in his return to the lineup. He had that broken thumb, and the Cavaliers, they snapped a 2-game skid with a win over the Nets. Mr. Windhorst, what's the ceiling for Cavs Corner?
Well, James Harden had 12 free throws in this game, which is something that, he hasn't been getting a lot of free throws, but to me, it showed that he's not afraid of contact on that hand. So that was a good sign, and he led a pretty strong second half for them. Also, shout out to Danny Wolf, the rookie for the Nets, had 23 points and 9 rebounds. His best game this season.
I don't know that you answered the question, but I do appreciate the shout out. Off to Atlanta, not for Magic City night, but for Jonathan Kuminga. Had another 20-point game. The Hawks overpowered Portland on the way to their 4th straight win. I'll go back to you, Brian. How would you describe the impact Kuminga is having in Atlanta?
Well, especially because Jalen Johnson is back, and he and Jalen Johnson both played extraordinarily well in this game. And look, he can get out on the floor. His athleticism obviously sticks out, and I'm sure he's loving every second of this, and certainly the Hawks are as well. They're on a winning streak. Well,
don't look now. The MVP, he's back for OKC, and Shea had himself a weekend. We like to call him Shea Butter. He's that smooth, and this was a smooth, seamless transition back to action on Friday. He dropped 36 points in OKC's overtime win against the Nuggets after missing 9 games with that abdominal strain. And then on Sunday, he lit up the Mavs. He had 30 points. He extended his overall streak of 20-point games to a cool 123 and could tie Wilt Chamberlain's NBA record of 126 on Saturday against the Warriors. Now, the 30 he had in OKC's win over the Mavs, you see right here where that streak puts it. In the process, the reigning MVP, he passed Wilt for the most consecutive 20-point road games in NBA history. So as OKC's fighting to stay at the top of the Western Conference, the Wolves are clawing their way back in. They were 0-3 against the Nuggets this season, but I sense a change in the weather at altitude. Picking this up in the second quarter here. Edwards gets the pass, buries the 3. The Timberwolves up 45-38. And then under 5 seconds left, the Timberwolves lead. Edwards lays it in, beats the clock, going up by 8 at the half. In the third quarter, let's get some Jokic action. Hits that wide open 3. He's trying to will the Nuggets back in this one. And then a minute to go in the quarter, Nuggets down 9. There's Jokic once again, backing down Naz Reid this time. Crazy. Scored or assisted on 23 of their 32 points for the Denver Nuggets in the quarter. Jamal Murray drives, puts it on Rudy Gobert.
Yeesh.
What a slam there from Murray. Putting the former Defensive Player of the Year on a poster. So the Nuggets down by 10 at this point. Yep, there it is. Picture perfect. Just over 6 minutes to play. The Timberwolves up 106-96 now when we go ahead here. Edwards pulls up. Yeah, this will ice the game right there. Ant feeling it. He finished with 21 points. The Wolves go on to win 117-108. Here's Ant with Katie George after the game.
The last 2 seasons, you guys have been to the Western Conference Finals as a 3 and the 6 seed. How important is it being a top 4 seed to you guys?
Super important, man. We don't want to be in a play-in because we want the week of work, of training and watching film and development. And we want home court advantage. I mean, I don't think we had home court advantage. We did my first time going to the Western Conference Finals versus Phoenix, but we want it again.
Well, best of luck in doing so.
Thank you.
What makes this Timberwolves team so dangerous?
Yeah, I think if you look at some of the teams that I would say are in the middle of the West, basically outside of San Antonio and Oklahoma City, all of those teams have some flaws. You look at Houston, they're not a strong offensive team. You look at Denver, they've been weak defensively. The Lakers, weak defensively. The Wolves, they are strong at both ends of the court, and that's really their case for why they can get back to the conference finals, is because they can do it at both ends. They also have a closer in Ant Edwards, and for whatever people want to say about Rudy Gobert, and they dunk on him, and he gets suspended for flagrant fouls, and he says stuff that upsets his teammates, the data is unequivocal. They are a very good defensive team when he's out there. And when he's out there, the Timberwolves are hard to deal with on that end of the court. And that is a big reason why you can believe they can make a run.
I think they've also got their spirit back. I mean, this is a team that's been in the conference finals 2 years in a row.
Right.
And after the trade deadline, it took a little while for some guys whose names have been in trade discussions for Giannis and some of the other things they were trying to do to maybe get their feeling back and feeling loved again. But they look like they've righted the ship. And I've heard from people that give Ant Edwards a lot of credit for that because he is a leader in that locker room as well.
Sort of bringing everybody together in that way. And that's a step that we've been talking about, wanting to see Ant continue to take and evolve. And we're seeing that now. But the bar, as you mentioned, Ramona, is they've gone to back-to-back conference finals. And so it's getting past that point. That's where Denver's trying to get back to, right? They've lost 8 of their last 12 games, and they're not healthy. And they're running out of time to get healthy, Tim. What's your level of concern there?
Yeah, I think there has to be some real concern. You saw Joker yesterday talking about, some worry might help, might get guys to lock in, might get guys to play harder, but the health is a thing. If the Nuggets can get healthy, everybody expects them to be a contender. Aaron Gordon is ramping up to return soon. Same with Peyton Watson. They are going to be especially careful with Gordon, though, because these soft tissue injuries have been a recurring issue over the last 2 seasons, especially the hamstring. We saw it in the playoffs, saw it twice. Those guys can solve a lot of problems. They don't necessarily get Joker healthy, though. That's also a concern.
Yeah, Cam Johnson's been hurt, too. He had a knee thing, they had an ankle thing. He hasn't been playing very well. So I just think they're thin right now. But if they get those guys back, I don't have that level of concern for them. Every game I see them in, they seem like they're in it.
Well, but when I was talking to David Adelman, Brian, he told me that they want to get 15 games together. That's their ideal. And right now they're sitting at 10. And by the way, they're 8-2 in those games, but they are running out of time. If you're not concerned for them whole, there's concern that they're not going to get there, maybe.
Yeah, and now they've got Cam Johnson potentially missing some time with the ankle, as Ramona said. And he made an admission yesterday, David Adelman, that sort of illustrates where this team is. As you can imagine, with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, they try to play them together as much as they can because they're a killer duo on the court.
Absolutely.
They're going to have to change the rotation up a little bit and have one of them on the court basically at all times, according to Adelman, because the rest of the group is not carrying. And that is an indication of them leaning away from what they want to be. So this is a team that's fighting through it. But again, if they get their whole team together, I realize it's a big if, but they are very formidable at full health.
Yeah, it's interesting. Adelman also said that he hasn't shown the entire group until they got past the All-Star break their full record in the standings and where they stand, because he feels like he's coaching sort of a different group for this Nuggets team every night, and they have to get healthy in order for them to make it to their full potential.
NBA,